there, welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. As always, no matter where you are or how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And there's so much to talk about here. Prior to the Niners taking the field at the SAP Performance Facility for training camp, as it was practice number 6, San Francisco was busy making 9 roster moves. We'll start there. We also have some injury news to touch on and another training camp reaction. What went down during training camp practice today? That is also on the docket for today's show. I do want to begin here. It is the final day of July, and you look at the biggest NFL channels here at Chat Sports and the amount of subscribers that all of them have gained in the month of July. We've done pretty well. 818 new subscribers this month, but I want to finish in first place. Let's win. And I think that we can accomplish that because we have some diehard fans who watch this show. We are behind the Raiders Report, Eagles Now, Bears Now, and the Cowboys Report. But if you hit that subscribe button right now for the best daily Niners news, analysis, reactions, and takeaways right here on the program, we will vault up that leaderboard. As for the Niners roster moves on this Thursday, San Francisco has signed wide receiver Isabella and running back Ameer Abdullah. I did a video on both of those transactions earlier today. It's up on the channel. You can be sure to check it out, and I'd appreciate that. But then, after the Niners signed those two players, San Francisco announced the signings of wide receiver Marquez Calloway, quarterback Gus Bradley, left guard Ben Bartch has been taken off of the non-football injury list. San Francisco also cut wide receiver Equanimeous St. Brown. They cut offensive lineman Sebastian Gutierrez, cut wide receiver Malik Knowles, and lastly, San Francisco's defense going to be without Jaylen Mahoney. The backup safety has also been let go. So the two wide receivers who the Niners signed last week, Equanimeous St. Brown, Quintez Cephas, already gone. And the Niners continue to make a lot of moves at that wide receiver position in particular. And let's begin there with Isabella. 2019 second-round pick with 4.3 speed. Head coach Kyle Shanahan saying today, after he practiced with the Niners today, that speed is something that the Niners needed. Isabella can fly, but he is a smaller player, under 190 pounds, 5'8", 5'9". He was an All-American while at UMass. His last 2 years playing in college, he had more than 1,000 yards, and he was a second-round pick by the Arizona Cardinals. Just didn't really work out for him there or so far in his NFL career. Not a great route runner. His lack of size has been a little bit of an issue, and I think to start his career, he suffered from a lack of confidence because I don't think the Cardinals took advantage of his skill set. Maybe that's something that the Niners can do. He does have punt return ability, and the Niners did give him some looks there on this Thursday. Running back Ameer Abdullah, 2015 second-round pick by the Detroit Lions as a running back out of Nebraska. He is a really good pass catcher. He's an underrated pass protector. He, too, has return experience. Last year with the Raiders, he did a pretty good job running the ball, but also catching the ball out of the backfield. The dual threat element to his game, the return experience, things that Kyle Shanahan really likes, but also the fact that he's been in the NFL at running back for a decade is pretty impressive at that position where players can seemingly get cooked overnight. Wide receiver Marquez Calloway. He has some pretty good size to him. 6'2", 204 pounds. He played his college football at Tennessee. In year 2, I believe it was, with the New Orleans Saints, it looked as though New Orleans found a pretty good player as an undrafted free agent. That year, 698 yards and 6 touchdowns. That was his career year. Outside of that season, he has struggled to solidify himself as a legitimate NFL player. That year, though, I remember being very impressed with Callaway, but he struggled to find his footing since then, but he does give San Francisco some size at that wide receiver spot because of Equanimeous St. Brown, a player who they signed last week, pretty good size at 6'5". Marquez Callaway, different player, runs a little bit better, but still gives San Francisco that size element. And then the Niners also signed Gus Bradley. He played his college football at Toledo and South Alabama. Of note, he is the son of Gus Bradley, the associate head coach for San Francisco and on this defensive staff under Robert Saleh. Kyle Shanahan said today after practice that Carter Bradley's workout was so good that the Niners were left with no choice. They had to sign him. Kyle Shanahan in the past has enjoyed having 4 quarterbacks during training camp. Now he has 4 quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, who's enjoyed a really good camp, Tanner Mordecai, and Carter Bradley. Carter Bradley was with the Raiders last year, signed with them as a UDFA, decent size, decent arm strength, and of note, Bradley, Calloway, Isabella, Abdullah all worked out for San Francisco on Wednesday. And then one of the other internal moves that the Niners made today, activating and clearing Ben Bartch, who suffered a quad injury this offseason, off the non-football injury list. And it's pretty telling, the Niners' actions as far as what they think of Bartch, because obviously he hadn't practiced in training camp yet. Today was his first practice, and immediately he stepped in as the starting left guard with the first-string offense. And so the Niners' offensive line, as of right now, looks as such. Trent Williams, one of the best offensive tackles of all time at left tackle. Ben Bartch steps in at left guard in place of Nick Sakel, who was getting reps there. Jake Brendel still holding it down at center. Kyle Shanahan loves him. Dominic Pooney last year was one of the top guards in football. He struggled a little bit in training camp, but hopefully he can round into form because his potential is limitless. And then Colton McKivitz, as he enters the final year of his contract, is very motivated. He said yesterday he wants to be a Pro Bowler in 2025. Topic number 2, some Niners injury news that is important to hit on. Running back Jordan James. A reason why I think the Niners signed Ameer Abdullah. Number 1, Jordan James is dealing with a knee injury right now. Number 2, last week, they released Israel Abanikanda. And so they wanted another body at that running back spot. The good news with Jordan James, not expected to be out for a long time, but he is dealing with a knee ailment. He missed Tuesday's practice. Wednesday was an off day. He missed today's practice session as well. He will be evaluated throughout the week, and he is day-to-day. Deamador Lenore, the Niners' top corner, who I think this year can fully break out and be a Pro Bowl, all-pro type of player, has a hip injury. He will miss at least 3 practices due to this injury, and this will really test the Niners' depth at the cornerback position, which I think is worrisome going into 2025. Look out for the likes of Trey Brown, Darrell Luter Jr. to get some reps there. But already, you're without Deamador Lenore, who's your cornerback 1, and you're without Renardo Green, who's your cornerback number 2. Upton Stout, who I really like as a 3rd-round pick for speed, really strong, good against the run. He's more of a slot guy. And so already the Niners are being tested at that cornerback spot as far as their depth goes. That's probably a good thing because we need to see if the depth pieces can play. Juwan Jennings, this sucks. He re-aggravated his calf injury that he hurt in the spring. And anytime you're dealing with a soft tissue injury, number 1, it's a concern. Number 2, when it's the calf, which can then lead to Achilles problems, you have to tread very lightly and be very precautious. He is the Niners' number 1 wide receiver without Brandon Ayuk and with Ricky Pearsall in and out of practice. He did return today, but he's an unknown commodity for the most part. Last year, did Pearsall show flashes? For sure, but Juwan Jennings is the best wide receiver on this team. He's looking for a new deal. There is no telling when he's going to be able to practice again. And that just takes away from the synergy that Purdy's able to develop with some of his top weapons. And for Jennings, it's not a good sign that he's dealing with another calf injury on the same leg from the same injury that he suffered in the spring as he's looking for a contract extension. Positive news on the injury front, rookie first-round pick Michael Williams was back at practice today. He only missed that Tuesday practice session because of an ankle injury. That was somewhat notable at the time and worth monitoring because last year in game number 1, when he was playing for Georgia against Clemson, he hurt his ankle, and that ailed him the rest of the year. He has had a tremendous training camp. Kyle Shanahan speaking very highly of him. We'll get to that in a moment, but his technique has been really good. The power, the physicality, the length, all on display, in addition to some positional versatility for the 11th overall pick. Coming up next, training camp reaction. We'll get to that just around the corner. What happened at practice today? I have you covered. But I do want to plug this deal. Thanks to our friends at Fanatics. This Niners cutoff hoodie is on sale. $22 off. It was $55, now on sale for $33. All you have to do, use that link to your advantage down below. You can save money, look good, rep the Niners, and you can wear this year-round. It's chatsports.com/49ers cutoff. If you're watching this show live, that link is in the chat. If you're watching this after our live program, it is in the description of today's show. Niners training camp reaction. Practice number 6 in the rear view. These 3 veterans with off days today. Running back Christian McCaffrey. Offensive tackle Trent Williams. Defensive end Nick Bosa. McCaffrey has looked superb so far. Looks to be in great shape. Conditioning, the explosiveness, the speed. It's all back. But the Niners are going to really monitor these 3 players and other veterans throughout the course of training camp to just save some bullets and get them ready for the regular season and keep them fresh once the regular season comes around. Trent Williams, he has had some trouble in one-on-ones against Nick Bosa, but I think that's more so of him going up against an elite player. That's iron sharpening iron. I don't think it's a case of Trent Williams being cooked. And for Bosa, he has enjoyed a very good training camp up to this point. The highlight of the day from training camp practice number 6, Brock Purdy throwing a deep ball to Demarcus Robinson, 75 yards. Brock Purdy's long ball has been on point throughout training camp so far. And remember, there was that narrative that Brock Purdy is a check down artist. He's a check down Charlie. He can't throw deep. Well, so far in training camp, he's hit and connected on several deep balls. Today's 75-yarder to Demarcus Robinson. On Tuesday, he found Jordan Watkins for 50-plus. He's hit George Kittle downfield on numerous occasions. He hit Kyle Juszczyk right through the hands of Fred Warner on another play. Purdy in 2024, among all quarterbacks in the NFL, 8th best deep ball completion percentage, 9th in air yards per attempt, 11th in air yards. He can throw deep. Just because he's not 6'5", 240 pounds doesn't mean that he has a weak arm. He has a pretty solid arm, and the deep ball accuracy has been on display since he came into the league as Mr. Irrelevant back in 2022. Also of note, 2 of the new additions, Ameer Abdullah and Isabella, taking some punts today. In addition to rookie Jordan Watkins, who at Ole Miss had special teams experience, and Junior Bergen, who the Niners took with their final pick in the 7th round. Bergen is a player who Brant Boyer knows, special teams coordinator, because his son also played at Montana, and Bergen was one of the best return men in the history of FCS football. Shanahan did say when the Niners drafted him that he is primarily a special teamer. He's going to, I think, have to do more than that and show some receiving ability in order to make the 53-man roster. Kyle Shanahan also likes a couple of the rookies on this team. Kyle Shanahan speaking glowingly of rookie first-round pick Michael Williams, saying he's as good with his hands as anybody I've seen coming out. And so we knew coming out of Georgia that Michael Williams had physicality, power, length to his game. We knew that he could play defensive end and defensive tackle, but he's also a pretty polished player. Remember, as a freshman, he started on that Georgia team that on defense was littered with a bunch of NFL draft prospects as a freshman. And after that year, with how good he was, the promise that he showed, some people were saying in the future, Michael Williams could be the first overall pick in the NFL draft whenever he decides to declare. Shanahan also said this about Upton Stout, whose game I really like. He might be smaller, but he is aggressive, he is tenacious, he plays with a lot of swagger, and he plays with a mean streak. He had that pass breakup the other day on Ricky Pearsall, runs 4.4, led all DBs in the gauntlet, led all DBs in the bench press. He's good against the run, and he brings that type of Dre Greenlaw, Azeez Al-Shire, Diamador Lenore tenacity to this Niners defense. And Shanahan said, and remember, he's tough on rookies at times, quote, I'm not crowning him yet, but he's doing a hell of a job. I think week 1, Upton Stout starts in the slot for San Francisco. The fact that the Niners may have hit on this draft class, huge for the future of this organization. Jair Brown, pretty good in year 1 after being selected in the 3rd round of the 2023 draft out of Penn State. Stepped in for Talanoa Hufanga once Hufanga tore his ACL. Year 2, though, he struggled. And today he talked about that. He said he's motivated to bounce back. He loves Robert Saleh. He said Gus Bradley is his guy. that Gus is one of the more impressive defensive minds that he's been around in football. And Jair Brown said he wasn't himself last year. Part of that, losing Steve Wilkes, who's great with DBs. Part of that, Nick Sorensen calling the plays, and Brown had trouble adjusting to that. And I've said this about Saleh. I think that given how elite of a coach he is, obviously the X's and O's matter, but he's going to be able to develop, maximize, and put these players in a position to succeed. Ricky Pearsall also spoke today, and he said his hamstring injury that kept him out during mandatory minicamp that he hurt in the spring, and then kept him out for the first few practices of training camp, happened when he was doing extra stuff after practice. It's great that he's putting in extra work, but he did say, that's on me, it was my mistake. There's our training camp reaction video and another edition of the 49ers Report in the books on this final day of July. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I'm north of 16,000 followers on X. I'm at 38,000 followers on IG. In addition to always talking about the Niners here, I'm always talking about the Niners over there as well.